Are you ready to get your feet wet? Because this is the Knowledge Pool, hosted by Gathering Information. We're here to bring you a casual conversation between friends about everything to do with collecting, trading, and playing Magic the Gathering.
I am Tams.
I am Step.
And I am Laura.
So put on your bathing suits and dive right into the Knowledge Pool. Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Knowledge Pool.
Jumping right in there, huh?
Yep.
That was smooth.
Thank you.
And then we ruin it by being all...
I don't know what you're talking... I believe that we add joy and and a certain presence.
And ambiance and depth. And hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Knowledge Pool. We are here. Tams.
Despite having missed last week.
Hi. Oh.
Laura?
Hi.
Yes, we are
and
here.
this is Step.
And,
so we
yes.
should probably clear up what happened last week.
Yeah, we missed it.
Yeah.
We missed it.
We forgot that it was a thing.
No, we didn't. Step and I are in the process of trying to find a new apartment, and unfortunately we have to take viewings and stuff like that when we can get them, and then other stuff gets mashed about. And...
Well, to be fair, we had an episode ready to go, and then it just timing didn't line up properly.
Someone had to stay at work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you had to work late and stuff, so life's been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but we are here.
Yes, we are here, and it's not like we missed that much, because there's still not that much news.
Yeah.
So I guess first off, we'll just start with the show notes from last week. Commander decks, they're coming out on Friday.
I am less excited than I should be.
Yay!
I still really want them. Like, I love this product. I don't really know why I love this product so much, but I do. And I intend to keep getting them, the Commander decks.
Well, I like last week when I had put this on the outline, they had just allowed the content creators who had been given early access to this, like the Command Zone guys and the Commander Versus guys, and they had just released their videos of all four decks playing each other. And the Wizards deck doesn't really seem to play out that great.
It tends to be that there's one or more that are not as good as one or another.
Sure, but like the commanders and the the faux commanders, none of them seem particularly well addressed by the deck's makeup.
Huh.
So they're really not meant to be a, hey, let's open this deck and play it.
Yeah, the Wizards one is more of, hey, this is a great beginning, let me put in some actual good wizards and also refine the deck to a particular commander, whichever one you do choose of the, several that they
that
include.
doesn't sound like a beginner's deck.
How about you rip it out and put it into your other commander deck?
It's funny
type of
because
deck.
The Grixis deck from the last time they did Grixis and the blue-red deck from when they did the enemy color decks were also not very well put together.
I know, I actually mentioned that when you said, Laura will play the Wizards deck, right? And I was like, yeah, as long as it's not quite like the other blue-red commander decks that they've put out, because they've all been bad.
So I wonder what... I mean, Grixis is a big color in Commander, going all the way back to, Elder Dragon
and
Highlander.
Honestly, in Commander, blue is probably the strongest color.
Yeah, in any Eternal...
Yes.
Is it Eternal?
Yeah,
it is Eternal.
Yeah.
Format, blue is the strongest color.
Just generally speaking, because it has access to all the answers and all of the ways to refuel your hand to get more.
So what about the other decks? Any word on how well they play?
Yeah, so admittedly, it is a fairly limited quantity. Obviously, they haven't yet been released to the general public yet. But it seems like the cat deck acts just like any other aggro deck in that you get out really far ahead, and then you become a giant target, and then you either lose the game horribly because you've been targeted, or you just kind of get into a grindy board stall that your deck's not really equipped to win.
Well, that kind of sounds like a playstyle problem.
Yeah, it's just like any other aggressive commander deck. They all have that same problem.
Sure.
And it's not really a problem. Some people really like that sort of playstyle, and if that's your thing, it seems like a solid example of an aggro deck.
Well, it sounds like in the format that I tend to play, casual 1v1, it'll be a fun deck to play.
Oh, yeah.
And that was when I said to you guys before we started recording, remind me there's something I want to say about the Commander stuff, because I don't often have anything to say about Commander. That was actually going to be my comment, because, Laura, you've watched a bunch of these games of people who already have the decks, and so, you look and you think, okay, so the Wizards deck sucks because blah, blah, blah. But is that going to change at all with the ability or style of the people playing it? Because these are people who are well-versed in Commander. But say me, who doesn't, playing against somebody else who we're not really big Commander players. We don't know all of the things. Do you think there's more to get out of them then? Or what?
In the Wizards deck in particular, it seems like you kind of just dirtle around until someone gets around to killing you.
Eek.
Because Wizards, as a tribe, generally their creatures are not great as creatures. They have good enter the battlefield effects, or they have good ongoing effects, that sort of thing.
Sure. End game effects, like the Evokers or whatever.
Sure,
Yeah.
but, the problem is that the only way, basically, that you win the game is to use the Commander's ability of tap 5 Wizards, do 7 damage to a person. Which takes you a few turns to actually kill someone. And you're just sitting there clogging up the board with your 2-1s and your 1-3s or whatever.
So were these meant to be played as 4 decks against like a massive 4 game, or
basically
1v1?
No,
okay.
they're meant as multiplayer. Like the reason they switched to the 4 decks is because they thought that's a Commander play group, or they're usually,
which makes sense, and I agree with that. Like usually. Yeah. When there are 5 decks, one of them gets left out for a reason or another.
Most tables are rectangular.
Yes. Yeah. So that seems fine. And, the Dragon deck and the Vampires deck, it basically seems like those are kind of the solid, just all around, have different interesting ways to interact with the boards. Like the Vampire deck, I was watching, I think it was on the Command Zone, one of the players got out like Sanguine Bond, and they were just draining their opponents for like 8 gazillion, and it seemed pretty sweet. And so it also seemed like that you could either go like super aggressive vampires, or you could go more the lifelinky, because there's also that legendary creature in the deck which has lifelink, and it costs less for every life you've gained that turn. So if you wanted to take it in a different direction, there are some vampires that have that sort of life gain synergy effect.
Interesting.
The Dragon's deck also seems like if you draw well, and by that I mean you get your colors, basically, also seems very strong, just because big flying guys are difficult to deal with in large quantities.
That is true.
It is funny, I guess it was part of their Wizards' plan to balance the decks, that the 5-color deck doesn't seem to have great fixing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem like the best way to balance the decks.
A lot of people have also been speculating that it's merely due to reprint values, because each deck has, a budget of what the cards can be, so that people don't just run out buy the deck specifically for a True Name Nemesis or whatever.
I don't know. I think that's kind of lame.
Well, yeah.
But then, again, I guess the decks have the ability to come home with you and be
completely revamped.
Yeah.
Really nicely...
Oh, yeah.
tweaked and tuned a bit to make it even
and
better.
That is kind of the fun of the pre-con Commander decks. It gives you a solid base to work with, and then you can decide to upgrade it over the course of, the next year while you're waiting for the next pre-cons to come out or something.
It's kind of funny, now that I'm thinking about it, that there's no... that the cat deck wasn't just Naya. They didn't add red, because that's what I think the... real colors of a cat deck would want to be.
Are you still
green red?
Are you still upset about the Jackal Pup?
Well, okay, jackals aren't cats, and that's all about Hour of Devastation, and I don't want to talk about it.
So, anyways, that was basically number 1 news for last week.
Right.
Although it's still topical because the decks are not out yet.
They come out this Friday?
Yeah.
Yep.
And we should get the chance to do a little playing around, and we'll update you on our findings.
I will be buying all 4 of them. I will be doing an unboxing video for our YouTube channel. And then I will be offering people games of Commander basically all next week to try to get some plays in. And then I guess we'll see.
Yep. So next up, something to look forward to. Rotation is coming up.
Oh, Rotatoes.
Oh, did I say look forward to? I'm actually not sure how I feel about Rotation this time around. So it's coming up in pretty much a month at the end of September on the 28th, I think. But Standard's actually in a really good place right now. Like, ever since they banned, like, half the cards that were, you know...
A problem?
Yeah, well, basically. But, you know, at a lot of the GPs lately... you know, basically since the Pro Tour where Ramanap Red ran ruin over all the other decks, there has been a really good meta. Like, there have been some interesting brews coming up, like the Sultai Reanimator deck. That's pretty sweet. And, you know, just a lot of plays and counter plays and, you know, oh, this deck's really good against Ramanap Red, so let me bring that to this because that's what I expect will be really heavy in the meta, and then everybody else is thinking the same thing, so the person who counter metas the counter meta is doing really well. So
the biggest problem I have with Rotation this time around is the way they're doing it. They have gone back to the old Rotation style, and they're cutting out 2 entire blocks.
Yep.
Instead of, I don't know, cutting out 1 block when the next block comes in. So that things are always shifting a little bit instead of sometimes shifting a whole bunch.
Yeah, so Ixilan's coming in at the same time. That's how Rotation works. But not only is Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch going out, so is Shadows over Innistrad and Eldritch Moon. So that's like 900 and some odd cards being replaced by 200 and some odd cards.
Yeah.
I mean, BSE wasn't supposed to be here still. Like,
no,
it's basically that guy from Clerks who goes, I wasn't supposed to be here today. You know, Gideon was supposed to be gone 6 months ago or a year ago. Like, so I think it's kind of just that we've gotten used to having this many cards in Standard, even though it wasn't the initial intent.
But is this how they're going to be doing it going forward?
Yeah, I think so.
So...
Or, I think... I don't know. They made too many changes a while ago for me to remember what they're actually going forward with. I think it's supposed to be rotated every 6 months.
If that were the case, if it was 1 block in, 1 block out, I think that would be the best thing.
Yeah.
If they're going to get rid of a whole year's worth of cards like they used to, because it was 1 block, you know, it was 3 sets and a core set, that was fine for what it was, but we're talking about now 2 completely different sets of mechanics that could interact completely differently with the new stuff coming in.
Well, maybe. I mean, a lot of the decks that are popular and powerful right now rely on kind of parasitic mechanics, like the ones that are solely from Kaladesh, like Energy. Those decks are not going to be really impacted by rotation because they rely on cards that are mostly from the same block because they all use the same mechanic, Energy in this case. And so, you know, they won't necessarily see that much of an impact. It'll be more like Marty Vehicles, maybe, which doesn't rely on Gideon, but we'll say he gives a helping hand.
I just would have liked to see some brews using cards from Eldritch Moon without Oath of the Gatewatch, Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with that, just because it really overshadowed things.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll have to see how things go. Like I said, I'm not sure how I feel. I'm kind of looking forward to just getting the new influx of cards into Standard. Yeah. But on the other hand, I'm also not excited to get into Standard for the next month because I know that my deck will probably be worthless once it rotates out, which is, of course, the constant problem with Standard.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and you can't really say that Standard is cheap either, even though there are quote cheap decks at the moment.
I mean, it's cheaper than it was like back when, you know, Jaceman's Prodigy and the fetch land / the battle land were all in play and it cost $900 to run any deck.
Yeah.
So, you know, a couple $100 isn't too bad just when it's a month from rotation and you're not planning on piloting it in a major tournament.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah. So next up, we just wanted to talk briefly about the Ixilan promos, some of which have been spoiled, released? I'm not really sure. They've
been oopsed.
They were published a bit early on the Wizards website.
But now they're officially out.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's basically the, the open house promo and the BioBox promo, which has been changed to be a BioBox booster, including a promo.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
That's pretty much how I think about it.
What do you think of that?
I don't appreciate the increasing drive towards randomness in not even just prizes, just in incentives, I suppose. Like, not just in Magic Online, where they, brought in the treasure chest and stuff, but I don't necessarily care to get a promo plus some random cards. Like, if you just told me what I was getting, I would probably be better.
So, just to clarify language, you don't care? Like, you're not fussed either way? Or are you saying you don't care to as a negative?
Definitely more on the negative side of things, just because I don't like the mindset.
I don't like that mindset either of randomness. Like, I agree with you that they've been adding randomness to prizing is not a good...
Like the standard
how
showdown
would you
boosters.
like for a GP's prize structure to be like, and the top 8 will roll for $100 per point on this D100.
And I'm sure that what they're thinking is they're infusing a lottery type aspect where everybody does I'm going to get the big shiny thing because I'm lucky, and but generally get the
someone who,
dirt
for
comments.
Statistical purposes, doesn't really buy lottery tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather just know what I was getting if I wanted to buy a box, and I would get that.
I want to be clear that they haven't taken anything away.
That's true.
The buy a box promo is still in every one of those boosters.
Yes.
It's still the same promo.
Yep.
You just get extra stuff. We're just like, it's extra random stuff, and
why?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, thank you for other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I bought a box. The fact that I'm getting other stuff is an incentive, I suppose. Like, not that I'm actually buying a box, but if I were, because I have in the past, it's more, I spend the money to get a box. The promo's a nice bonus.
Yeah.
Sure.
And now it'll be the promo pack is a nice bonus.
But you're not buying the box because of the thing.
Of course not.
I would love to buy a box and do the booster game because that looks like fun. That's the kind of randomness that I can sort of get behind because you're going to lose, but maybe you don't, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so it is fun to open packs.
It is.
Sure. I'd prefer to draft with them, but playing the booster box game would be fun.
Yeah.
I can't afford it.
Yeah, one day when we're rich.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that they are doing, for like the actual promos, an interesting way to release them, which is geocaching.
I do like this idea of making spoiler season or gamifying it in some way. They've been ramping up their promotional activities in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And if this is going to be the Road to El Dorado treasure hunt kind of set, then this is a really cool way of going about it. I think
it's a well-chosen mechanic, so to speak, to get the stuff out there because they seem to work very well together. The geocaching idea and the treasure hunting idea. So I think it's kind of cool.
Absolutely. Plus, for the majority of Magic players, now is a good time of year for it.
Mm-hmm.
I also always find it interesting when companies do this because often they drastically under or overestimate the amount of interest in these things.
Yeah.
Like, Pokemon Go as an example, like they have servers crash all the time during big events because they're like, oops, we didn't know that.
We didn't even consider renting out data server storage space. Like,
hi, GraphCat.
A little late to the party there, say.
So, I mean, there's some interest for me on that score of sort of meta gaming.
Yeah.
But, it'll be interesting to find out.
So that's basically it for the news. Like I said, not too much going on. We're kind of ramping up to spoiler season, kind of ramping up to the new set coming out, although it is a little ways off.
It's a month away.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then, next up, we just kind of want to talk a little bit about a couple of products that we have recently acquired and extensively playtested in one case. So let's just start off with the Eclipse sleeves.
Ah.
So Tams and I, on our big trip to BC, a month and a half ago, we acquired ourselves a few packs of the Eclipse sleeves that we were going to take with us to GP Toronto. Mm-hmm. And we have now played with them a fair amount.
Yep.
I was very impressed with the shuffle feel.
Oh, the shuffle feels beautiful.
It's amazing. I really like the way that they have the interiors as black.
Yep.
It really makes the outside color pop. And it also does reassure you that no one's going to be able to see through your sleeves.
Yeah.
Which is important because, of course, the flip cards are still in standard. The problem with them that I have noticed is that they don't actually last through as much wear and tear as I had initially thought, given previous reviews that I had seen of them.
Yeah, and I don't mind giving a shout out here. We listen to product reviews from lots of sources, but the main source of the review for the Eclipse sleeves was the Tolarian Academy?
Community College.
Community College. Right, Tolarian Academy's the card.
Yes.
Ha! Wit. Tolarian Community College review of the Eclipse sleeves and how they seemed super durable and looked really nice. And after we have all played with them, we have noticed, yes, they look really nice, but as far as trustworthiness, I am still all over the dragon shields.
The number one problem with the Eclipse sleeves is they scratch really easily.
Yeah.
So anybody who has nails, which is,
all of us,
when you're just regular old shuffling, whether it's mash or bridge shuffling, your nails will get caught, and then you will have marked cards.
So my first deck at GP Toronto, I start sleeving it, and one of my sleeves split. But here's the thing that I found that was kind of interesting is they give you an extra sleeve in the pack. It took me verifying from other people. I'm like, did you get an extra sleeve in each of your packs? Yup. Which I think is kind of cool.
Yes.
Often they do that. Like, there's usually 1 or 2 extra sleeves in a pack.
That's nice.
So I'll mention I've played considerably with mine. I played them all at GP Toronto for many rounds, and then I turned it into my my league set of sleeves, so I've been playing with them every week. I have not had any split cards. I do bridge shuffle more than I mash shuffle.
That's the only one that I've had.
So in that sense, they're certainly really durable. The corners get a bit dinged up, but the main problem is the scratches. Again, because then they are marked cards. They're illegal cards. You have to swap them out if they get a scratch.
At an event like that, absolutely.
Because they're really noticeable.
Yeah.
Because it's, a very smooth finish.
I still think, other than the Dragon Shields, which I think are my favorite, I still like them a lot more than a lot of the products out there on the market. I still think for shuffling, like, I haven't noticed a lot of the scratching. I might shuffle a little differently. Maybe. I'm not sure. But I do really like the look and the feel. And
yeah, they look so pretty. And the colors are so vibrant.
It's funny, though, because the backs of them are high gloss, and you don't notice the nicks and scuffs as much on just their regular Ultra Pro, like El Cheapo sleeves.
That could be part of it, too, yeah.
But again, the Dragon mats I have shuffled a bunch. And aside from sometimes, like, the edges can get a little pilly, but you don't notice that when you're drawing and playing with them.
I think for me, I want to put my standard deck, stuff like that, in them that I'm not going to be pulling things out and putting the back in or using as much as for a draft set of sleeves, draft sleeves.
Maybe Commander?
Yeah, or Commander, yeah. Oh, they'd be gorgeous for Commander, yeah.
It's unfortunate that they come in 80 packs and not 100 packs.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, it's kind of, there's blatant reasoning behind it, and that reasoning is to make you buy 2 of them if you want to sleeve up a Commander deck.
Yeah, I'll still do it.
So
what's the other product?
The Boulders.
Oh gosh, I'm in love with them.
Yeah.
So these are the incredibly close fittings, like very. I don't want to say cheap. They're just they're very minimalist. Deck boxes that have been come out with by Ultra Guard, I want to say.
Yes. Ultimate Guard?
Ultimate Guard. And I had seen them previously because our shop owner had a couple of the test ones that he stored his modern decks in. But you guys have bought a few of them.
We have 2. We have one of the, again, air quotes, 80s and one of the 100s. And I have put a single sleeve. I don't double sleeve my decks. I've put a single sleeve Commander deck in the smaller of the 2, and it'll fit. But it more comfortably fits. Like, when I say fit, it's exactly fits.
Right, if you were using different sleeves.
It might not. If the sleeves were any puffier, it might not. But I have put my standard deck in it, and I really like the way it splits. It splits on the diagonal, so you have two halves. You can, leave your sideboard and extra sleeves in it out standing up so that you can, access it. Really.
Oh my. Apparently the motorcycles are all in,
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember what I was saying.
They split on the diagonals so you can have them both open and put your sideboard and tokens in them.
And it's really nice feeling, too.
It's sexy feeling. It looks like, from a distance, it looks like brushed velvet. It's smoky. Like, this purple is gorgeous. For me, it is minimalist, but I think it's really nice looking.
The inside is a hard plastic. Mm-hmm. Well, it's all one hard plastic, but the outside feels like brushed silicone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The neat thing, too, is that you can buy several different colors and interchange and have a different color top and bottom. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which I think is pretty cool.
They're all interlocking.
So the one comment is just that they do only hold your cards. There's no, separate container for your dice or anything like some of the other ones have, like the monoliths and things like that. They're not designed to, of course.
No.
So it's...
But I like that.
Yeah, if you're carrying a bunch of decks with you and you already have your dice somewhere else.
I put my dice in a dice bag. I'm old school.
Yeah.
What I usually do with my standard decks is when I have a product that I buy that is supposed to fit 2 standard decks, and of course that means unsleeved, I'll end up keeping, a standard deck in a single sleeved standard deck in my draft kit box. Like, I have a standard or a commander deck and sleeves and land for a draft and dice and tokens, and that's all in usually a Fat Packer bundle box.
Yeah, I do
and
the same,
so
but usually with my league deck.
one of these bundle or one of these Ultimate Guard Boulder cases is now going to replace that for my deck that I want to carry with me.
And I love that they're not expensive at all.
Oh yeah, they're super cheap. So Canadian, they're like $10 for the smaller one, $12 for the larger one, or something like that.
Yep,
Yeah,
very
which
close.
is amazing.
Yeah.
And they're also stackable.
Yes.
They will fit on top. Like, it's literally just a rectangular prism.
There's no interesting bevels that make it difficult to balance each other and things like that. So yes, they seem super sweet.
It's exactly the minimalist was the right word product for people like me who like minimalism.
Yeah,
Clean
or who
lines.
just have a bunch of decks and just need somewhere to put them.
I want to throw them in my bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's the other thing. They're super durable.
Oh yeah.
Like, I've dropped it a couple of times. Not from a serious height, but it hasn't burst open or anything, so
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
Cool. So next up is just what have we been doing?
Oh boy, 2 weeks of
Do you recall
things.
what you did 2 weeks ago for F&M?
I just took the deck apart. What was it?
Yes, I had a white, red splash green for Ronus. I had I had the cat,
the Caracol or the Bridemaid?
the Pouncer,
Oh, okay.
and then I also had the horse.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was the draft we were at where everyone opened like crazy
The most
mythics.
ridiculous mythics ever.
So
God, I wish I'd come.
it was a
was amazing.
6-player pod, and like 5 of us opened gods or mythics.
Yeah.
Or
of
both,
other-
apparently.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think I went 1-1 and I think I went 1 and 2, 1-1 and 1. I don't remember. I know I had some. I never had land issues in that. I never had green in my hand. Oh, the other thing I splashed for was Ambuscade. I think Ronus and Ambuscade.
I think didn't we just both O2 drop because
We O2 drop. That's right.
had other moving things that we needed to do.
Yeah. I just did not get what I needed. But again, everyone at the table had all of the things. So,
Yeah,
but the draft was super fun.
Was it?
Yeah, I love the draft process.
Is opening mythics fun?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
It was awesome.
And on color rares, apparently.
Yeah. So I first picked a Scarab God and then decided to go all in that direction.
Oh, yeah, you do. High five, man.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
And I had a sick deck, which, again, we
O2
both
drop,
went O2
yeah.
drop. So apparently the Scarab God is not as good as the Locust God.
You were not in favor that day.
Yeah.
Scarab God carried me to day 2 of a GP, so...
Oh, there you go.
and then there was also League last week,
Yeah.
which we all went to, and all did pretty well at.
Yeah.
I suckered some poor sap into trading me Aronis after he had defeated me 0-2 for him.
Yeah.
So after that, I failed to lose a game the rest of the night.
It's pretty sweet.
Ronis, very good. Who knew?
Yeah.
He's great in my
guess.
deck because I have a bunch of dinky flyers, which
Nice.
he can pump.
Yes.
And I also do have, 5 or 6 creatures that have 4 or more power, so he can be turned on without having to pump something.
There could be a standard deck in there.
Well, yeah, but Ronis is $15 and you only have 2 of them?
Yeah, but, with enough card draw and flyers, you only need 2 of them.
That's true.
Of course, also, when you think about it this way, if you have all the other stuff, you're paying $30 for a standard deck.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
perspective.
So, so my deck has only improved with that, which is good because I've opened terrible packs for the last 2 weeks. I've literally, I put in a green desert out of the packs I've opened in the last 3 weeks. So, at least I'm propping myself up somehow. So how about you, Step?
Well, I went 3-1, I think, again this week. So that's 4-0, 4-0, 3-1, 3-1. Or maybe it was 2-2. I think it was 2-2 this week. Yeah. So I'm
Putting
still
you
doing pretty well.
Firmly in first place still, I believe.
Yes, I was still firmly in first place by the skin of my teeth.
By like 8 points or something? Skin of your teeth.
6 points. That's only 2 matches, which was the 2 I won. So if I had lost those 2, who knows? Anyway, I'm still having a lot of fun, but I have almost convinced myself to take out the green splash. It's a black-white deck. It's a fairly aggressive deck with the long game being embalming my stuff and
also annoying flyers.
Annoying flyers. I am splashing green for a spider. What is it called? The
Obelisk spider?
Obelisk spider. And for the Pridemate Sovereign.
Man, I wish we hadn't traded because I could give that spider a wonderful new home.
You sure you wouldn't want the Pridemate Sovereign?
Well, probably, but then I'd have 4 spiders.
I opened a
fair
Decimator
enough.
Beetle.
Oh.
Just saying.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've opened up great trade bait, and if I wanted to do the green-black deck again, I could have done it really well, but I'm sick of it, so I'm just going with my ramp deck. But you're also splashing for the green desert.
Well, sort of. I'm running 8 deserts.
Yes.
And those deserts are for my Ifnir Deadlands and my Sheffet Dunes, which I can alternately use to gain value because the deck functions on 3 mana. If I get to 5, I can cast my
the 5 mana 3/3 gain
life
3
thingy.
Yeah.
Even of Enduring Hope?
That's
the one. Good for you. But I have literally no 4-drops.
Oh.
My 6-drop is casting both parts of, is it Grind to Dust?
Yeah.
Which exiles at least 2 things and probably 3 because my opponents who I like to use that against all in one like to put -1 counters on their own creatures for some reason. Couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
But I, even with all the value of having a Pridemate Sovereign and an Obelisk Spider, I think consistency would be better. So
Fair enough.
yeah, I'm gonna relook at that.
So I am having a blast with my deck. The only issue I'm having at all is on occasion it plays Silly Bugger with me and is like, no, you don't need land. What are you talking about? Screw you. I'm running 17 and I've had problems the last 2 weeks with not having to mulligan to 5. And so I went 2-2 this week, but 2 of the games that I won were against higher seeds. So I beat
Climbed the ladder.
the second seeded person, which was pretty awesome. It was one of those things where I'm running 3 obelisk spiders, and I have a bunch of other stuff now that either puts on counters or cares about counters, and I got the black removal from Amonkhet, the put to
Splendid Agony.
If I could find another one, I would be the happiest girl, because It's fantastic, especially when you have 2 or 3 spiders on the field and they have 2 creatures out. So
you don't even need to kill creatures with them if you're draining them.
I don't. I just make their creatures a little bit smaller so they're not killing my spiders as much. I can block easier. And then, I mean, you get trigger, 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 trigger.
Yeah.
If they attack, you get to kill them and trigger again. That sounds gross.
It's great. And my opponent was like, the first game, he beat me. The second game, I won. And the third game, I get my spiders out and we start going. And he's like, I'm just going to call this a game because I can't deal with those spiders. I don't know what I can do. And I was like, okay.
That's usually you, Tams.
I know.
You have successfully controlled somebody out.
It was so fun. I'm really enjoying the deck. And it's not a deck. I mean, I love Golgari, but it's not a deck that I would normally think I would enjoy. Because it's still a little bit grindy at times, but it's super fun. And there's a lot of thinking involved. Where do I put counters? Mm-hmm. What order do I cast the creatures that I have? Like, do I hold back this creature because it's going to deal with, it's going to do countering shenanigans until I can draw a spider or not? So I'm enjoying the challenge. It's fun.
You know, that player I lost against, he's very good.
Oh, yeah.
And his deck is very good. But funny you should mention about him giving up. Because there was nothing he could do. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt against him in game 2 of our match. Mm-hmm. Or was it game 1? Yeah, I think it was game 1 of our match. Mm-hmm. I was like, is it going to be worth my time to see this through? Mm-hmm. And this is going back a few weeks ago to our conversation about
when do you concede?
When do you concede? And I decided, you know what, I'll give it a couple more turns. And then I managed to draw into answers, and I ended up winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a fun feeling.
I thought I had no way to win because, like, literally, I have an aggro deck, and he had walls down, right? Not walls, but things that stopped my creatures.
Yeah.
And then I just through very good play managed to win that game, and very good draws. But then I ended up losing the next 2 to him because it went long and grindy again, and
just nothing.
What do you do?
You didn't draw that well.
But I was very happy with myself in that first game.
Those are good feelings. Yeah.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, we're all sitting top 8.
Oh yeah.
So
you're first. I think I'm fourth.
First, fourth, and sixth.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
And
pretty cool.
Those are all pretty good rankings.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yay.
And based on the decks in the top 8 that I know of, we're up for some steep competition in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So then this week, I went to League. Neither of you guys did. It was our makeup week.
Yep.
Yeah, we would have loved to have gone, but again, with this house stuff, there was just too much going on, and it was the one night we needed a mental health evening, and we just couldn't make the timing work. We went and saw a place yesterday, and So I wish we could have gone.
So there were 4 of us there. 5 of us. 2 of whom needed to make up matches. Everybody did get caught up.
Oh, good.
So that was
That's
good.
good.
I opened garbage for my pack,
which is
good.
not so good.
And yeah, I mean, my deck did what it was supposed to do again, which is good. I really think it's gotten a lot more consistent since I played around with the mana base. So I'm more likely to have the mana I need and the color that I need. But yeah, I'm still not sure what to do with that white splash. So I'm splashing just for a cast out, which is a really high value splash since my deck doesn't have any way to deal with enchantments or anything like that main board.
Do you have ways of casting it that aren't your mana base?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got a I've got a Nog Vitalist, I've got a Manalith, I've got a Beneath the Sands, I've got Plains, I've got Traveler's Amulet. Like, I'm not too happy with the way things have been going.
Great, though.
Yeah, no, it's working out fine. Just, like I said, I keep opening up really good trade bait, by which I mean high value cards in other colors.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be white. Like, if I could change it to black, I could splash a Decimator Beetle, a Final Reward, and a black cartouche to go with my 2 green cartouches and my trial of whatever the green trial is. Strength. Mm-hmm. That sort of thing. Like, so I still think the cast out's the right choice because it deals with non-creatures as well, and I am running a couple of Unquenchable Thirsts, which usually deal with all the creatures that I need to.
I'm still running
But-
a main deck Forsake the
Worldly?
Worldly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
you gotta have something.
Yes.
Yeah, this week I'm going to be looking for artifact or enchantment removal in green because I don't have anything right now, much.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was fun. The weather cooperated beautifully. It was super nice. It poured as I was driving there. Like, the skies was just crashing down. And then it stopped, and it was nice and cool, and it wasn't very humid.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
there weren't very many people in the shop, so we all just had a really good time, even though there
that's
weren't
good.
too many of us there.
It's been a nice, cool week,
Yeah.
except for Monday being extraordinarily muggy.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I went to that you guys did not was F&M, which is unusual.
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around.
How'd it go?
All right. So here's what I did. I went first pick the Sand Strangler, the 4-mana 3/3 that when you have a desert deals 3 damage to a creature.
Sure, seems alright.
Second pick, picked up another one. And then went Blur of Blades. And then, look, I'll be honest, I got the Impending Doom,
Oh. Oh.
which is the 3-mana. When it enters the battlefield, put a counter on it. Then whenever you cast a 1-drop, if it has 1 counter on it, you deal 1 damage to a creature and put another counter on it. Then you cast a 2-drop, and it does 2 damage, and you put another counter. So I didn't force it. I just kept it in mind
Sure.
as I was drafting.
Now, I'm not noticing any deserts so far.
No, I picked up some deserts.
Okay.
I had the option of running 4 of them. I ran 3.
Okay.
I ended up blue-red... I want to say spells, but it wasn't really spells. It was just blue-red removal on things. Because
Some of which were creatures.
I also picked up a Warfire Javelineer, which went well with my 8 instants and sorceries that I was running.
Sure.
I had 4 really good 1-drops, or I had 3 good 1-drops and a fine 1-drop. So I had one of the Bloodlust Insiders, I had a Traveler's Amulet, I had an Unsummon, and I had a Crash Through.
Okay.
So those are all playable 1-drops.
Sure.
So I decided to give it a try, is all I'm saying.
So how did it go?
It was replaceable.
So you had not almost the ideal deck, and it was replaceable.
Basically.
Okay.
It just takes too much setup during the game. Because my deck had so much other removal, like direct damage type removal effects, that I usually didn't need it.
Well, there's a reason that the acronym for setup cost is suck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had 10 people drafting, so we went for 4 rounds. I ended up going 3-1, lost in the finals to a blue-black deck splashing red. There were a lot of blue players at the table, which was interesting. I was almost mono-red.
Okay.
I was only running main deck 5 blue cards, and 2 of them were the 3-mana Tragic Lesson, the blue card draw spell.
Okay.
I was running them, first of all, because I wanted to see how they were. The answer is actually fine.
Yeah, I've been curious.
Like, I'd say probably C+ level.
Okay.
Like, slightly above replacement level, if that's what your deck wanted. I really needed 3-drops because I was running a particular card that encourages you having a solid curve. And also, I wanted card selection because I had a particular card that required a specific card drop on certain turns.
Sure.
So, I did sideboard out the Impending Doom when I didn't feel I needed it, which was most of the time. And when I did that, I would often sideboard out one of them.
Okay.
But I was quite happy to be main decking at least one.
Better or worse than straight up divination?
I've never really played just straight up divination in
that's fair.
in draft. I've done it in cube a couple times, in which
Sure.
case, obviously, I will play blue and everything.
Yeah.
But no, it was fine just because you had the choice. If you had too many lands, or if you only had 1 blue source and you hadn't made your land drop that turn and you wanted to be able to play your island again, you could just bounce a land back to your hand.
Sure.
My deck had a bunch of 1-drops, 2-drops, some 3-drops, a few 4-drops, and 1 5-drop. So I usually had lots of lands to throw around. Or if you just wanted to discard a card, that was fine too. If you
Sure.
had any cycling or discard type synergies, or you just had too many lands or whatever, that was usually fine as well. So, yeah, it actually was better than I thought it would be, but I was quite happy with it. So yeah, overall my deck did super well just because I was basically mono removal. So I would get a 2-drop onto the board. If it lived, I would just hit them in the face with that whilst killing all of their other creatures. And then maybe dealing some damage to their face with like a Blur of Blades, that sort of thing.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It did well. So that's my F&M report. Imminent Doom kind of mediocre.
I would love to say that we're going to F&M this week, but we might have to go and see an apartment instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did get to do some Magic over the weekend, too.
We did.
All three of us, in fact. Mm-hmm. Our dear friend decided to open up a box of Hour of Devastation, and by open up, I mean, of course, draft.
Yes. Well, he wanted to see how many sick foils he could play with.
Of course.
Yes.
And it turns out that I got most of them. But we were party to a triple Hour of Devastation draft, which I had a lot of fun with.
I enjoyed it too. My deck was like... I don't want to say terrible, because it did really well, but it was terrible.
Really? It looked sweet to me.
It was sweet. That's a good way to describe it. It was sweet.
It was sweet. Not necessarily great, but sweet.
Yes. So what did you end up drafting?
Uh-oh. I remember now.
You were in
was
red?
It red-green? Red-green. I was in Jund?
That's right, I think you
it
were.
was in Jund.
Yeah.
I just remember taking foil after foil. I started with foil Ambuscade and then got past foil something or other into another Ambuscade later. Puncturing Blow, I think. And just,
that's right.
I was basically, you know how you said you were mono removal?
Yep.
Yeah. Mono removal / aggressive creatures. And that's a fun deck to play.
Yep.
I ended up, I think, going 2-1 in that draft.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because the second round, I came up against the guy who had 3 unsummons.
Yes.
Playing around unsummon is annoying.
Especially when a lot of your removal is creature-based, like Ambuscade.
Yes, this is true. Puncturing Blow can really deal with things that you want to have dealt with, though.
Yeah.
So, it was a lot of fun. I would actually enjoy doing another triple hour draft over another Hour of Devastation Amonkhet draft, but that's because I've already done a lot of those.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I would definitely try it again.
I also barely remember what colors I was. I was in, like, black, green, splashing red, I think.
Yeah, you were in all of them.
You were in mono wall, is what you were in.
I was in mono wall. Alright, so I was running 3 of the Wall of the Forsaken God or whatever, the Pinger, with deserts.
Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs.
Pharaohs, that's the one. So
I like that card.
basically my plan was to get out some big things, and then get out some flyers, and then, or counter dudes. I had a couple of the beetles. The spiders. I had a few of the spiders.
Oh, yeah.
So basically my plan was to kind of just dirtle around and ping you to death with my walls.
Okay.
Except for when I accidentally had really aggressive draws. Because I had that a couple of times.
Did you have a top-end bomb?
Yeah, the Wall of the Forgotten Pharaohs.
That's what you mean by sweet.
Yeah, so, my deck was basically designed to... in my seat, I should have probably been red-green, but I just didn't want to do it.
Fair enough.
So I chose not to, because it's a for fun draft. You can do whatever you want. So, yeah, I had, like, a Ambuscade, and I was splashing red for, like, an open fire, and I think I was splashing white for something. Look, my deck was full of nonsense. And, I also went 2-1. Step crushed me in the first round because stupid Ronus' Stalwarts or whatever can't be blocked by walls.
This is true. That's right. I had, like, 2 or 3 of them. Plus, I had puncturing blows to deal with your walls.
I know, it was unfair. So, yes, it was very fun. And it was interesting draft format, which we'll talk about once Tams tells us all about her deck.
Yeah, what'd you draft?
There's not much to tell. The draft was fun. The play was miserable. I first picked a Hoopu, because I've never, and I'm not going to turn it down when the rare was stinky.
Yes.
So I wound up black, blue, splash green for the Hoopoe and an Ambuscade, which...
It should be noted, we were all sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
There were a lot of green and red removal spells going around.
Yeah, and the guy next to me was in red-white, I think, and may have also just taken green stuff. He was also splashing green.
Yeah, and then 2 over from me was red-white. And it was nonsense. The draft was so weird.
That explains why I lost to the blue player who had 3 unsummons.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my splash was easy. I had a Traveler's Amulet. I had a decent desert. I had the one desert that you can tap a creature for any color mana.
Survivor's Encampment.
It made absolute sense to splash. So that was fine. I had lots of black removal, the good stuff. I had a handful of obnoxious flyers. And then my rounds went a little something like mold of 3, mold of 4, mold of 4, mold of 3. Yeah, and I wasn't even being picky because I do tend to be very aggressive in my mulliganing. But I'm like showing my opponent, I'm like, hey look, no lands at all. Hey look, no lands at all.
Yeah, it sucks.
And I was running 17 lands. So it was miserable. I got crushed. I got pinged to death by walls. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know
either.
It was crazy though. So that wasn't so much fun.
Well, I watched you playing your 3rd round. You didn't you win your 3rd round?
No, I went 0-3.
No, we played in the 3rd round.
Oh.
I pinged her to death with walls.
Well, who were you playing that you crushed with? Didn't you have the Torment Hailfire?
Yeah, that was your round 2.
I did, but I didn't end up winning the round. I only won the game.
Yeah.
One game.
But
and
you
then
won it spectacularly.
All right, well, I saw the game where you went off.
I did it for 9. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Oh, no, I don't think I won that round. I was against the Boros
Oh, you
player.
had to have won it, because if you were 2-1...
Oh, okay, so I must have, yeah.
So you were 1 and 2.
So it was that, yeah. And that's a fun card. It can also be a dead card in your hand.
But it makes any lands that you draw valuable. Like, if you're flooding out and then you have it in your hand, you're just sitting there.
And I don't mean dead card as in you can't play it. You absolutely can, but in this, I won in 3. That's what it was. Because in the second game, what ended up happening was he doesn't care that he loses 12 life because I'm sitting at 4 and he's got a gajillion creatures and he's like, sure, I'll take 12. But it can also be phenomenal. I would definitely run it again for sure.
What does it cost again? Is it black XX?
It's black X.
Okay. So I would love to see the card black XX and the 3 life be drain.
Yeah.
That would be sweet.
Because then you have to pay X twice, but then you get to drain life, or they sack permanents or discard cards.
Yeah. I still think it's pretty good because, I mean, it was really easy to get to 6 mana, 7 mana.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
pretty good.
double X would be a much worse card overall, because, you know.
But yeah, it would be much harder to cast.
Yeah.
But then we drafted the Theros Block Cube.
Yeah, not mine. We were at the home of the gent who has
the original
Theros Block
foiled, blinged out, incredibly gorgeous, you need sunglasses Theros Cube.
I will say, he's cheating on the land.
Yes.
I'm only running Theros Block lands, but,
but
then
he's all
I
foiled.
didn't have to foil out my cube, so, you know, we'll give him that one.
Yeah.
That is always fun. I always have fun drafting Theros Block Cube.
And you guys just played the first round, right?
Yeah, because we had to leave and see an apartment.
Well, we did actually only end up playing 1 round, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I drafted Bant, as always. I think... Look, I said, I think during our first episode, that my ordering of colors was blue and green, somewhere interchangeably, and then probably black is my 3rd color.
Uh-huh.
I need to stop lying to myself.
You're a white player.
It's white.
Yeah.
Look, number 3 is white. I always draft Bant and Cube.
You're the fun
The
place.
only difference is which is my primary color.
Uh-huh.
And which one do I have fewer of. So basically it went something like this. I first picked a green card, Corsair Crufix.
Yes.
And then I second picked Ifara, God of the Polis, which is the blue...
I passed you what I passed
the blue white god.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'll take blue-white, because I don't usually do blue-white. I'm usually green in Theros. So
Sure.
I'll try something slightly new and exciting. And then I ended up playing blue-green splashing white for Afara and Afara's enchantment, which I never actually saw or got to play, obviously, where you enchant a creature, give it a +1/+1 counter and flying, and whenever you cast a creature card, you can return it to your hand.
Yeah.
I was blue-green, basically heroic.
Mm-hmm.
It was so sweet. I was playing the 2-mana 1/1 blue creature, where whenever you target it, you can turn it into a copy of a creature permanently, and you can then change it if you retarget it if you want, but you don't have
forms.
to. Yeah. So I borrowed my opponent's Karametra twice. Which
That does sound sweet.
I was running forests, so whenever I cast a creature card, I also got to ramp.
Nice.
And I also got to take advantage of turning her into a creature, because I had blue, and, a green, creatures. So,
I also passed you Disciple of Kruf, or no,
Yes.
not Disciple of Kruf.
the
Oracle of Krufix?
Yes.
Whatever it is.
Thank you. I never drew that one either. But it would have been sweet, because that's a very good combo with Afara, because then you're drawing cards at the end of every turn.
Ugh.
So, my deck was sweet. I crushed my opponent. It was great. I love that deck. I wish I could have played more of it. And, yeah, let's be honest. Look, blue-green and then white, probably. I always end up Banting Cube.
Yeah, I would like to say that I didn't draft anything like what I normally draft.
No, it was definitely
Not at
not
all.
mono black. I remember saying at the beginning of our
It
draft that
was
Tams was not at all going
mono black. It was Golgari. I just chose not to put in the green. It didn't make any sense.
So
to be fair,
what was your mana base like?
17 swamps.
Yeah, that sounds Golgari.
Yeah. I did draft a couple of sweet green-black cards, but it didn't make sense to splash for them. It was the
Someone was cutting you off on green pretty good, I think.
yeah, the person next to me, Laura. And somebody was, and then Stepford was on the other side of me, and you're welcome for passing you the sweet, sweet card that I passed you, which we'll talk about in a moment.
It was also in red-green.
Yeah, so but for my first pick was, I don't remember which, but it was one of the
It was
best.
Gary, right?
No, I didn't get a
totally got a
Gary.
Gary, right?
I didn't get a
You
Gary.
didn't get a Gary?
I also did promise to pass you the Whip of Erebos if I saw it, but I did not.
I did get King Makar,
That's true.
and I got about 6 pieces of sweet black removal. And then I got Squelching Leeches, which in a mono black deck is just straight value. So the one round that I went, I played, first, wow, I'm having problems with words today. I'm tired. The first game, I just could not get my removal. It just wasn't happening. In the second game, mono black, 17 land. I never got past 2 land.
Wow.
It was so demoralizing. It felt so bad. But Step's deck was pretty awesome. Also, in part because Tams passed him something that I was like, I could splash this. No, I want this to be fun because I knew what you were in. And I'm like, this is just such a great card for you. So talk about your deck,
I
Step.
remember what you passed me.
I
was
passed
the
you
Minotaur?
Mogies.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh.
I passed you Mogies.
Oh, you know
Even
what?
I knew what you passed him as you were passing it to him. She was like, remember we just had our anniversary? I'm doing this because I love you. I was like, I bet I can guess what that is.
That's exactly word for word what I said.
You know what? That's right. I wasn't Jund in the first one. I was straight red-green.
Yeah.
It was Jund in the Theros block.
Because somebody went Minotaurs.
Well, yes, but also no, because I didn't end up with any of the... I passed you the black Minotaur that gives all your Minotaurs Death Touch, because he was in the pack with the Minotaur that makes all your Minotaurs cheaper.
Which I thank you for, because I did have a bunch of Minotaurs that were not the good ones, but when you put them with him, they're all good.
So I first picked Xenagod, the Xenagos Lord of Revels or whatever it is.
The god.
Yeah.
So he brings the party.
Yeah, he makes your thing twice as big, whatever your creature is.
And
each
haste,
combat.
doesn't
And
he?
hasty. And then second pick, I'm like, okay, so red, green, but there's the Minotaur here. Red is Minotaur. Sure, I'll just take this Minotaur and speculate. And then I ended up with, I think, 8 Minotaurs, which isn't really Minotaur tribal.
Well, red is super open at the table.
Red was super open.
And that's why I was like, should I jump? I know I should be. No, I'm not doing it.
It's cute. You draft what you like.
Yeah. So I had a bunch of stuff that I could go red, green, or black, green. What I ended up doing is splashing 2 black cards and splashing 2 green cards in my mono red deck.
Which seems pretty sweet.
And the black cards were the Minotaurs the Minotaur Lords, basically.
Yeah.
Mogis and the one that made your Minotaurs cheaper to cast.
Yeah.
And my green cards were Xenagos, the God of Revels, and Xenagos, the Reveler.
Yeah.
So...
Not bad.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
My one round that I got to play, I lost in 2. And then we played like 6 games in a row for fun, and I crushed.
Nice.
Every single one. And it was like, I don't want to play anymore.
Theros Cube is so fun.
It's so much fun.
Theros, yeah.
And if you have played a lot of Theros Draft, it's nothing like it. So, it's just all the cards that you love if you love Theros, but in a completely different... Like, half the cube is rares, right? Yeah. So, in that way, it plays like a cube.
Yeah.
But... yeah, it's just so much
and
fun.
That's the thing. And normally if you... Like, I had multiple gods. You had multiple gods.
Yep.
Even if you aren't necessarily going to run them just because you end up not in those colors, you often will get to at least have the opportunity to put one in your deck if you want it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, like that, the power level is pretty similar to a lot of cubes.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's good times. So that's pretty much it for what we've been up to. I will be honest, I still haven't finished that stupid red-green draft deck that I've drafted like 3 weeks ago. That's my problem with Miko. In theory, it's great. In practice, I don't actually enjoy it. So I don't often get to it.
Excited about the prospect of Magic Digital Next being not Mitgo?
That's kind of the resounding sound.
Look, I only have so much free time. So next up for our main topic, we just wanted to talk about something that all of us have been dealing with lately. I recently relocated, so I had to go through my Magic collection. You guys are in the process of moving.
Yep.
So we wanted to talk about how we keep, store/sort our Magic collections.
Sure.
Or how we don't.
Yes. So obviously, for the cards that I have online, I sell them immediately.
As do we, generally.
We should, because, let's be honest, we're never going to play Standard online.
Yeah.
But I haven't sold cards...
In a while?
So.
Well, basically my thinking is I'm never going to play Standard online, because I don't like Standard as a format as much as I like drafting, so I would rather get ticks.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. So that's how I curate my online collection. And that's how you guys curate your online collection.
Pretty much.
In theory.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I do want to give a brief preface to this, because there's one problem with discussing how one curates one's collection. The problem is, my beloved here has a problem.
Yes, he does.
Okay,
let me
first
finish.
let's talk about how you
No,
sort your cards.
no, let me finish. He actually, one of his favorite hobbies is sorting things. So me and Laura were talking just before we started recording and you weren't here. And we were like...
Should I not be here now?
Geez, it's too bad you didn't live a long, long time ago when, you could actually do sorting stuff as a profession. What was it?
Mailroom.
Yeah. When mailroom sorting was actually a thing and you could be happy in your own little world, sorting and organizing and...
And I believe you said that he'd be terrible at it because he would just keep all of the mail.
And want to read. No, this isn't right. I can do a better version of this. Nobody would ever get their mail.
So,
well, you're not entirely wrong.
All right.
In all jest, you actually have a really good way of sorting. We have a lot of cards.
Look, it can never actually be finished if you're going to go out and do another draft, right?
True. So how do you deal with it, Laura?
All right. So I'm more of the casual collector in the sense that I enjoy drafting. I sometimes enjoy playing Standard. I enjoy having a Commander deck available in case I want to play that. Mm-hmm. But I don't collect for the sake of collecting. like, I'll hang on to my rares, and, well, I'll hang on to, at least a playset of all the cards that I open, just in case I do want to use them in a standard deck, in a commander deck, if I ever get into modern or whatever. But I don't need to have a playset. I don't need to have foils. I don't need to have them on display. I don't need to keep a database tracking how many of each card I have. So I would definitely consider myself not really a collector of Magic cards, which is an important distinction to make because it is a collectible card game.
Sure.
So I definitely enjoy the playing more than I do the collecting. So what I do, and keep in mind I've only been playing for a couple years, so my card collection only goes back to Theros, basically except for random rainbow draft cards. I have 2 categories. I have cards that are currently in standard and cards that are not currently in standard. So the cards that are not in standard, I have sorted by set, in a box, in a closet. That's basically... And I have the rares separated, but they're still basically sorted like that. For cards that are currently in standard, I have them sorted by set, and then within each set I have commons, uncommons, and rares. I don't bother to sort by color. I tend to just keep 4 of each of them, so when I do my giant sorting of commons and uncommons, I'll usually go, okay, I have 4 of those, don't need to hang on to any more, draft for the rest of them, that sort of thing. And then for rares, I have them split up into 2 binders. One binder has lands, white, blue, black, and then the other one has red, green, artifacts, and multicolored spells. And that's it. I used to have them sorted by set, but then I would really just mentally stress out about how much work it was going to be when things rotated out to keep everything in order. And then suddenly I'll be having the most recent set in the front, whereas previously it had been in the back. Oh my god, what am I going to do? So much work to constantly keep that. So no, I'm done with it. Sorted by color. When they rotate out, I'll just take them out. When I get new ones, I'll just put them in the back of each color. And that way I don't really have to worry about it. And that's basically how I sort my cards.
Neat.
So, very simple. Hopefully low maintenance. My plan is to only spend 5 or 10 minutes a week just de-sleeving whatever F&M deck I've got. Categorize them, throw them in a box, never look at them again. But in theory, I will have them.
Okay.
And then,
so how do you sort your cards,
Tams? Yeah, Tams.
If I lived on my own... You know how I sorted my cards. What I did originally was I took binders and I did them by set, but I started off by getting little slips of paper and putting each of the names of the cards on a slip of paper and sliding them into the slots in the binder so that when I looked through, and then I sorted by card number. So when I looked through, I'd be like, oh, look, Ruin Rat. I don't have any. So I know that that's where it goes, or that kind of thing. And that is a lot of probably extra work that actually needs to happen. And Step does it very similarly, except he took all of the papers out and threw them away.
Of course.
Because you can take your phone out and take a look and see what's missing.
Well, mostly because they were not the sets that we had in those binders anymore.
That's fair. So now Step does most of the sorting, so...
You delegate.
He likes to do it, and I just get in the way. I don't do it right. So how do you do it,
Yes,
Stepford?
Step.
How do I actually do it, or what's the eventual goal?
How do you actually do it?
Well, I have boxes and bundles and stacks, and I have a lot of bundle or fat pack boxes that are full of random cards that are yet to be sorted, although, actually, I think everything is pretty well initially sorted now. I'm just bindering the standard stuff, and then everything can go into a box.
But the middle result is that you have 0 free counter space in your living room.
Absolutely.
And 0 free couch space in your living room because there's things on the couch. And...
Absolutely.
But the standard stuff is very much like you would see at a store. We have them in binders, and you've even gone and put little slips in the spine so that we can easy at a glance see what set it is, which is going to be very handy when we start building standard once we're settled.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when a set goes out of standard, I'll take it out of the binder and I'll set up the binder for the next standard set. And I have just 3 ring binders with the what do you call them, sleeves of 9 card slots.
Yeah.
That I
sheets.
put the standard in.
Yeah.
And I don't really sort rares separately because I don't see the point when I'm deck building. I want to just look at what's available in a color, so I just sort by collector number.
And it works...
Except that the creatures, I sort them by type, so creatures and then enchantments, instant sorceries. And I call artifacts colorless enchantments because that's basically what they are.
Yeah. And it just works well for how we view the game. It's easy to do. The stumbling block at sometimes has been, we have I won't say sizable, but a decent collection of modern stuff that we just haven't gotten around to putting into any sort of order.
Well, we didn't, up until very recently, have a good way of doing it. We'd have, like, bundle boxes or fat pack boxes and then have to figure out what would go where and where everything is. I finally picked up, I don't know what you call them, big shoe boxes, crate boxes.
Pizza boxes?
From the card shop, so that we can now have one of those for each color and then just sort everything alphabetically. I'm not sorting it by set. I'm just sorting it alphabetically. Possibly, no, not even by type, just alphabetically, because...
But by color, right?
By color.
Yeah.
So if I want to build a modern deck or a commander deck, I'll know what's in my collection, or even not know if it's in my collection, but I'll be like, okay, do I have this card? Go to the blue box and go to B. Look, there's a brainstorm. Good, I have a brainstorm. I can pull out the brainstorm.
And this seems all very logical, and it's going to work really well, but I'm going to divulge a little secret.
It's not a secret.
So, Step also sorts lands.
By art.
By the art.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also not by set, except it's sort of by set.
And it's cool for me because then when I want to grab draft lands, I'm like, ooh, I can have all of the same blue land, which is really cool.
Well, that's exactly the point.
Yes. But most people wouldn't, but he enjoys sorting. It's good because you like to fidget. You're a fidgeter.
Whenever we're watching a movie, it keeps me from snacking.
Yeah, or playing on your phone while you're watching TV or whatever. So that works, yeah.
So one thing I just wanted to touch on was, you saying that you don't sort by rarities, but I do.
Yep.
The reason for that... I tend to assume that I have at least 4 of any common and at least 2 of any uncommon just from drafting the set and opening packs that I win from drafting the set.
Sure.
And, since most of the decks that I build are standard, usually you need rares more than anything else.
That's fair.
So, and, I have a good memory. I just mentally keep track of any of, the chase uncommons. I can tell you how many fatal pushes I have right now.
Okay.
Just because I happen to go, oh, that's a really expensive card. I now have 1 of them. I now have 2 of them. I now have whatever.
I can also tell you how many fatal pushes I have.
I can tell you too, I bet. Is the answer 0?
The answer is 0.
Yes. So, for me, keeping track of the rares is just more important for standard, because those are usually the cards you need to buy if you want to put together a deck.
That makes sense.
If you don't draft. Or if you do draft, then, you generally already have the commons and uncommons that you would need. Just because if they're good for standard, usually at the common or uncommon level, they're good for draft too, because they're just powerful.
Yeah.
And I would consider Step and I collectors. We love to have complete collections. And there is a slight downside to that, in that we generally don't have a trade binder. Because those things that people want to trade are the expensive things, and we're not trading them because we don't have a set of 4 of them.
Right.
So
yeah, we do have a trade binder. It's full of rares that we have more than 5 of.
Yeah.
Because I want to play set +1 of every single card.
Yeah, and to be fair too, I have been ridiculously lucky with my opening of stuff. I tend to open value quite frequently, and we aren't above, especially early in the set, opening a valuable card and trading it in if we don't think we're going to play it in standard.
I wish I had traded that Chandra before it went down from 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually do kind of the same thing. What was it, about 2 months ago? I kind of saw the writing on the wall with me, the fact that I wasn't really going to be playing standard much before the rotation came out. So I traded in several Gideons and Avacyn's and Tireless trackers when they were all very expensive.
Nice.
For some store credit. And, occasionally I'll go, except for 1. I keep 1 of all of my rares.
Okay.
So I just won't necessarily keep a playset if it's a very expensive card that I don't see myself playing in Standard, because I don't currently play Modern, so I don't need a playset.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to play them in Standard, then why are you keeping them?
The single one?
Yeah.
In case I want them for Commander.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I keep at least one of all my cards.
All right.
But yeah, if I don't see myself playing them in Standard and it's coming up on rotation and they're worth money, like I traded 3 of my collected companies back before Origins rotated out. I got a quite good price on them as well, just because I don't want to wait until a month before rotation when they're not actually being accepted in for stores,
sense.
which collected company wasn't necessarily, even though it was a Modern card and still is a Modern card, and now our local shop owner who didn't want them is kind of kicking himself for not taking them because I went elsewhere. But yeah, I'll keep at least one of every card, but playset if I think I'll play them in Standard. And I am more than happy to, trade them in if I think I will get more value out of whatever it is that I get with the store credit.
And yeah, like the invocations that we get, we're trading. I really don't care about foils. I actually kind of actively dislike foils and premium cards.
Me too.
I really like full arts, and those only usually come in foils, so...
I like the foils, I'm not going to lie. I like the sparkly, but I don't care enough to...
My problem with the foils is how much they curl.
Yeah, that is a pain.
Well, that's going to be all cards from now on, though.
Apparently. Yeah, the card stock's gotten a little shaky. I was actually, because I was sorting a bunch of my cards. Now, I was going, oh, God, they do actually feel noticeably flimsier, don't they?
Yeah, it's noticeable.
But yeah, the foils. I got a copy of the Games Day Top 8 Pouncer, which is full art foil.
It's gorgeous.
It is. I had to immediately double sleeve it as soon as I got home because it had already started to curl.
Our Progenitus, I noticed sitting there.
Same as the Progenitus.
It's starting, that we got from the GP, is starting to curl.
Same with that. I double sleeved it because I noticed it was starting to curl
We're
too.
going to have to do the same thing.
So that's why I don't like foils, because there's too much work.
Yeah.
And I happen to know someone who loves foil, so I'm usually happy to trade him for non-foil versions of other cards.
Seems good.
Yep.
So
it's funny, I haven't noticed the I was gonna say expeditions, invocations curling, and we have opened several of those, so I wonder what that's about.
have you sleeved them?
Well, yes,
Single sleeved.
single sleeve.
Interesting. Yeah. So that was hopefully a little bit of information into how we do things.
Yes.
Let us know how you do things. Maybe somebody has a better solution.
Yes,
that would
please
solve
let us know how
all
we're
of our
wrong.
chaos. Please.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from our listeners about how they sort their collection or don't.
Unless you're Sean, in which case we know that you just take all the good cards that come into the store and put them in your commander decks.
And then crush us mercilessly.
He did. He was so mean. He completely demolished me in a game of 1v1 Commander because he got Scavenging Ooze on turn 2 or 3 or whatever, and I was playing a graveyard deck and stuck on 3 mana, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not casting any spells this game.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just dead here, right?
Yeah.
And then he just hit you in the face with a Scavenging Ooze?
I think it was a 13-13.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's the show, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
And hopefully we'll have some excitement for you next week.